Yeah, hello everyone, hello. I'm Made Cosplay, multi-award-winning cosplayer, known for making a lot of costumes at the very last minute. I don't have a procrastination issue, I promise. But I do a lot of attention to detail even in that short amount of time. I also do a lot of performance-based skits in the World Cosplay Summit and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm here to answer your burning questions. Anyone have questions? Or are you guys just here to chill out? What's your question?
What's your advice for like cosplay contacts? Because I always get the problem where they like dry out my eyes so fast and then I can't like wear contacts the next day.
Oh, contacts. I have like eye drops that I keep with me just to make sure so that when my eyes start to dry out, I just use some eye drops. That's usually what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good enough getting me like advice on like get certain brands or like things like that.
I use Unique because they have a lot of really good like different colors that are really good for different characters, and they come out with character specific contacts as well. So I usually use Unique, so that's the ones I'm wearing right now. Oh, question over there.
In terms of like wigs, do you have any notes for those people like to go to, like in purchasing wigs?
Are you asking about wigs?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wigs, you can actually do a lot with Amazon wigs, like the cheap ones for Amazon. You can do a lot. I've seen people. I have a friend who's like an amazing wig wizard. She is amazing, and she will take an Amazon wig and turn that thing into a work of art. But you can also get like higher quality wigs, like Ardo wigs. They are more expensive, but they come in a wider variety of colors and lengths and stuff like that. But Ardo is usually the go-to for a lot of cosplay wigs. Yes?
Do you have like any like YouTube recommendations for like styling the wigs? Because you take just pretty much a wig and then get it to the way you want.
Styling wigs?
Yeah.
Got2b is a really good hairspray to use. That's like the standard for a lot of people. They use Got2b, and you just gotta, to make more volume, you gotta tease it a lot. Like tease it and then like smooth it out on just the outside of it to really give it that fluff that a lot of anime hair has. Hello, welcome in. Any other questions? Oh, yes, Tantu. Oh, I can't hear you.
What are the best websites based on quality?
Best websites based on quality.
Websites based on quality.
Best websites based on quality. Like for
just outfits. What
Oh, for
websites?
outfits. For outfits. Okay, sorry. It's really hard to hear. I personally try to go with ones that do custom tailoring because I have a very unique body that's not very Asian sized. It's not very Asian sized friendly. So I like to go with the ones that are custom made. I also like to do Doki Doki is a really good one. They have like they kind of do it like card games where it's got the S, the SR, and the SSR, and so they have like levels that kind of with higher quality, so that you can pick and choose. Like if your budget is a little lower than the SSR, you can get the S1 and be just fine. Yes.
Do you have any tips for like resources to like improve like your craftsmanship, like whether it be like sewing or armor making?
YouTube. I YouTube everything. Like anything that I don't know how to do, I go to YouTube, I type that in the search bar, and I just go for it. There are so many resources on YouTube that you can use. That's a lot that a lot of people will say. I know for a lot of like armor, I know you asked for sewing, but I know a lot of armor, like Kamui has a lot of tutorials that are really easy to follow. And so does Kinpatsu. Anybody else? Yes.
on wigs. The Sailor Moon wig that I have, the long tails, I've had to replace those tails like 3 times because every time I throw them away, they just tangle up and I could never get the tangles undone. Do you have any suggestions for storing like a really long wig without having to cut the bottom 4 inches off every time you pull it out?
For Sailor Moon's wig specifically, the pigtails, and like for Miku as well, you can try using tulle in the same color, like a yellow tulle, or the blue tulle for Miko, and put it and wrap it around it so you can't really see it, but it also keeps your wig really nice and tidy looking. There's actually a snow Miku I saw that has like glittery blue tulle on her hair, and it's really cute. But yeah, that's what I suggest. Other than that, like if you don't want to go with the root of the tulle, or you just have like a long wig in general, use fabric softener. Like dip it in fabric softener, let it soak for a little bit, and then take it out, let it dry, and then just comb it out really, really gently, and that should take out like tangles really well.
Thank you.
Yes.
For old costumes that she's not going to use anymore, do you have any, like, we don't want to just throw them out, do you have any ideas on where people would use them, like theaters or something?
Facebook groups. There are a lot of Facebook groups that have like secondhand costumes that they can sell there. And you just post up like the measurements of the costume, and people will usually come to it and buy them from there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
How do you fix a frizzy wig?
How do you fix a frizzy wig? The fabric softener. That will help frizz it. You mean like with just wearing it? Use just a little bit of hairspray. That should help it like kind of keep it to you as well. Yeah. Yes.
So, I know you usually travel for competition. What are some tips for being able to travel with bigger items?
With bigger items, it really depends on the size of the item. I know I had to travel with the Tessaiga, Inuyasha's huge sword, and I got a ski bag that was meant for skis and put it in there, and then I just wrapped it with like bubble wrap, just to be sure that it didn't get any dings or bent up while it was flying. Just be very, I guess, cautious of the rules when it comes to that. Like, because airlines have a certain length that you can't go over and a certain weight that you can't go over, and just keeping that in mind. As long as you keep within those, you should be good. Just use a lot of bubble wrap and like. Or you can put it in a box too. You can use boxes and but fly with boxes. I've seen people do that before. Yes?
What are some things that you wish you knew starting out?
So one more time?
What are some things you wish you knew starting out?
Oh, things I wish I knew starting out. That's a good question. I wish I had just in general like confidence when I first started. Just telling myself that it doesn't matter what I look like as long as I'm having fun. That's all that matters. Because I had a lot of like self-confidence issues in the very beginning of my cosplay. I was always worried about what other people thought, trying to cosplay what other people wanted me to cosplay. And once I let that go, like I had a blast. I had a lot of fun. I did better in competitions that way too, when I had more confidence in what I was wearing. Yes?
Speaking of competitions, how many do you recommend doing a year?
How many do I recommend doing a year? I wouldn't recommend going over like 3 or 4 really. Like it really depends on your budget and your timing, like if you want to do that many. But you also want to give yourself time for those costumes for competitions. You want to give yourself the time that it takes to make the costumes really well. So if you're rushing too much and you're doing like a competition like every month, you're gonna burn yourself out. So just stick with like maybe 1 to 3 a year and like just focus on those and just pretty much just give yourself enough time for that for your budget. So it really does depend. Because I've seen a lot of people do like 6 competitions or something in a year, and some people just focus on 1 a year. Yes.
So, if you've never made a full cosplay before, what should I expect for like a budget? What's like a reasonable budget range to think of?
I mean, it really depends on the costume, because you can get intricate costumes that will cost you almost like $1,000 if you make it yourself, or you can go as simple as like a school outfit, and that will cost you maybe like $50 to $100. Like, it's not that expensive to make those. So it really does depend. You just want to. What I do is I make a list of the things that I need for the costume, and I price it out on like on Amazon or on the websites that I need, the fabric websites and stuff like that. And I just price it out and I look at what that is, and then I make my budget around that. I'm like, okay, well I can maybe go a little bit more on this kind of fabric, or maybe I need to cut back on a few things that way. But that's how I do my budget. So. Yes.
What's your advice on storing wigs when you don't have a lot of space?
Oh, space? I use a lot of those stacking bins in my room. I have like a bunch of huge shelves, like metal shelves, and then I have those stacking bins, and I sort everything out, and I put those in those bins and I label them, just so that I know where everything is, because it can get really chaotic in my room. But for the most part, I use like organizational bins and stuff like that to help. Or I use those plastic tubs that are for shoes, and I like put all the stuff that's needed for one costume and I put it in there and I label it, and then just stick it on the shelf. Yeah. Yes?
I'm sorry. When you're competing, do you focus more on accuracy or I guess your own style and aesthetic and comfortability?
I go more with like putting my own spin on things, because you can go for accuracy and that will still get you points. But when you try new things in your costume, that does. Personally, when I judge, I look for things that like you haven't tried before, but you did try, even if you didn't do it well. The fact that you did try something new and put your own spin on things, like that's good in my book. So I personally go for things that like make it mine. Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, sorry.
So for like making your own patterns, are there any like recommended like images to use like make your own patterns that are more advanced than just like draping on the store?
I mean, draping on a dress form is going to be the best for making patterns for yourself. You can make a duct tape pattern of yourself, and like put a t-shirt on, put duct tape on, and then cut it off of you, and then just stuff it with stuffing. That way that it's you and your measurements, and you can just pattern off of that. And that's usually what a lot of people do for patterning.
If she's doing a custom cosplay for somebody else, would you recommend that to make sure they get the measurements correctly?
Like if you can, yeah, but sometimes it's like they're not in the same like state or whatever.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Oh, I see. Okay. For that, I use a lot of commercial patterns, and I just do the sizing like to them with commercial patterns. Trying to drape it, you just have to use a lot of math, honestly, for doing like blocking for patterns for that. So. you would need to probably look at like sewing books that are for like educational sewing books. Like you can go to half price books if you have one near you, and look at like their crafting section, or their like educational books, and they should have sewing books, and they usually have like block patterns for like tops and stuff and pants and things like that, and they'll have the math in there that you need to use, and you can use that math to make it for somebody else in their measurements.
Back to the competition aspect of it. Can you explain what the judging process is like?
The judging process of the competitions, usually you just go in and you just talk about your costume, like how you made your costume. I've seen some people try to like be in character. You don't have to be in character or anything like that. That's not the time for that. That's when you're on stage. That's when you're in character. But you want to just talk about your costume, how you made it, things that you tried that were new, things that you're really proud of in the costume. They will usually come and look at your costume. They may even get up from the table and like check and flip your hems and things like that, just to see like what your sewing's like. You know, look at the underside of your armor, things like that, just seeing how you put it together. And so you just talk about yourself, and then they look at it, and that's it. That's all you have to do. And then you just do the stage performance later. Yes.
As far as making artwork goes, what tools do you recommend to have as far as molding it in shapes?
A heat gun and a drum, definitely. Like a heat gun to seal the armor, or to seal the foam for it, and then also help work the foam as you need it to shape it. And then using a Dremel to round out the edges, things like that. Then for sealing it, you want to seal it with maybe like Mod Podge, or I forget what it's called, but TMT Cosplay sells a lot of foam and the sealer, the primers and stuff for painting it. And then you just paint it with like spray paint, and then seal that with a clear coat. Yeah.
Okay. Hard-hitting question. There's a lot of controversy about cosplayers that don't make their own outfits. Do you feel that there is a disconnect between cosplayers that compete and make their own outfits versus cosplayers that do make their own outfits and compete?
I think there's a lot of bleed over between cosplayers that make their own costumes and cosplayers that buy their own costumes. I think there's a lot of bleed over, because I'm even wearing a costume that is not made by me. I bought this costume just so that I can be comfy. I also make my own costumes, so there's a little bit of a bleed over between the two. Because there are also people that will thrift a lot of clothing and alter it to be a costume, and that's still making a costume. And so I think that I don't think there's too much of a disconnect there. I do think that there may be people that are a little bit elitist like that, but I don't think their heart's in the right place with that, just because I think as long as you're having fun, you're doing it right. Yes.
As far as eventually she's hoping to go to like a school of costume design. If you win awards, can that be something you can use on your resume towards getting accepted into a school for that?
Yeah, you can use that towards getting awards in costuming can help with your resume if you're still in costuming. I actually worked as the costume shop manager for a theme park for Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, and I got it based on the fact that I did competitions and I won awards and I made my own costumes. So that got me the job as a costume manager. So it definitely, you can make a career out of it for sure. Yeah.
Can you just speak a little bit about like the diversity in competitions?
Diversity in what?
I feel like there's been increased different aspects of I guess, contestants or visitors?
Diversity in competitions.
Oh, diversity in competitions. I think you should just focus on like doing, because let's see, the judges want to see a lot of different aspects of things, but you always want to try to do what you're best at. So if you're really good at sewing, like definitely stick with sewing, but try to bleed off into other things like armor making and like prop making, 3D printing, things like that. But for the most part, just try to diversify your talents, mostly. Just see what you can do with what you have. I didn't understand the question very much, sorry.
She was saying, have you seen an increase or enough diversity as far as women and men, different races, different genders, in competitions, and as far as judging goes, do you think there's enough in that?
I definitely think there is an increase in the diversity in cosplay for sure, and especially in competitions. But I wish there were more diversity. There could definitely be more. But I've seen a lot of POC cosplayers come to light, like Pros and Cons Cosplay. They're two, I think they're sisters, and they are two POC cosplayers, and they go and they guest at a lot of conventions as well as a judge. Trying to think of some other ones. Yeah, I can't think of the names of the other ones. But there's a lot. Jihatsu is another one that goes to Anime Expo as a guest and things like that. So there's definitely like diversity with costuming and with judging as well. Any other questions, maybe? Yes.
How far do you travel to go to different cosplay events across the country? And how do you budget that?
I'm from Texas, and so going anywhere outside of Texas is definitely a feat because it takes like 14 hours to get out of Texas driving. I think the farthest I've been is either here or Los Angeles, California, because I go to Anime Expo for WCS, and I just basically make a budget and I stick to it. Like the costuming, I write out like what the expenses are going to be, and then I budget for that with my income. And you just need to make sure that you have every aspect, like the hotel, how you're going to get there, like your plane travel or a car, like what it's going to cost you gas and stuff like that. But yeah, that's as far. I think this is probably one of the farthest conventions I've been to. Besides LA, the LA one.
Do you drive here or fly here?
I flew here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a long trip from Texas.
Yes, it's a long drive.
A couple days.
Yeah, it would have taken me a while to get here. Yes.
Any tips on like getting shoes to look good but also still be functional?
Use boot covers.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely look into making boot covers because get shoes that are comfortable and that you know are comfortable, and use boot covers to make those look nice, so that you have the functionality of the boots, but also they look nice. Yeah. Yes.
You found in your experience that generally most cosplayers and judges are friendly and there's less competition, or just a friendly competition as opposed to cutthroat competition?
I think a lot of people these days are very friendly in competition because we all want people to do well, and we want, like, especially newbies that come into cosplay, we want them to have good experiences. So especially as a judge like myself, I really want people to just have fun. So just to keep it inviting. And so we encourage that for them to keep going in cosplay in general. Yeah.
How do you make costumes with a lot of like
Just take breaks and drink a lot of water. Always try to make sure that you can go to the bathroom in your costume if you can. That's kind of important. But yeah, just take breaks as you need to and drink lots of water just to be sure that you're comfortable. Yeah.
I was just gonna ask what's the most complicated costume you've ever made?
Most complicated costume. I think it would have to be the Gadoka costume, only in the fact that it is a costume changing costume. It goes from Gadoka and it rips off of me into school Madoka to the uniform. So I had to make like both costumes and make sure that it like overlapped in ways that like didn't look weird. Yes?
I just joined, but to go off of that question, what's the most fun costume that you've ever really put together? Like, what's the one that you enjoy making the most?
Probably is a yoi. I know it's kind of a bland costume because it's just a bunch of kimono layers, but I learned a lot historically through it, and so I have a lot of fun making the costume, and wearing it I feel like a princess, so like a Japanese princess, so I'm like, yes, I love this. You have another question?
Sorry, it's just, you branching off of what you said, what was it that you learned making that costume?
What was it?
Because you mentioned you learned a lot, like, from the history and stuff, with the costume. What stuff did you learn from that?
What did I learn?
Like, what did you get out of that?
I learned, well, one, I learned the reason why a lot of the women that had Unihit toys died in fires. I was like, well, it's because you can't move in the kimono very well, which I used in the skit that we performed. Part of it was the palace becomes under attack and I get hit with a fire arrow because I'm trying to run away and I can't run away because it's a giant kimono. But I learned like layering and like the math of that, and then like historically like why they had the certain pieces and why they had like 100 layers sometimes and things like that. So it was very educational for me. I really liked it.
I hope my questions weren't too complicated or anything.
No, you're good. You're good. Oh, it's fair.
Yes, I wanted to ask, what, if any, relevance of the anime or the game that someone's dressing up as goes into the cosplay part of the conversation?
Wait, what?
If you can hear me.
Oh, I can kind of hear you.
The relevance of the game or anime with the cosplay when it comes to the competition with judges.
Oh, the relevance. You want to try to stick to the character as much as you can, just so that it's at least recognizable to be the character. Always bring a reference image of some sort, even if it's like on your phone or if it's a printed out picture, because the judges don't know every character in the world. So just in case, even if it's something that's really, really well known, bring a reference picture just in case. Just be like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to look like, and if you deviate from what they look like, explain that. And tell the judges, hey, you know, I know that this person has this kind of pants, but I didn't feel comfortable wearing pants that short, so I made it a little longer just for my comfort. Things like that. Like, judges understand that you make changes based on you. And as long as that was intentional and that's what you meant to do, then that counts, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the question.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I think you were asking if the relevance of the convention matters with what your costume is.
Oh, the relevance of the convention itself. I don't think it matters, honestly. I mean, unless it's in the rules for the competition itself to say you can only cosplay from, you know, Japanese origin media, then anything's free game. honestly. So if you go to an anime convention and you're dressed as like a Star Trek fleet person, then that's fine too. So I think that the relevance is, it doesn't really matter too much. Yeah. The first costume I ever made, I made San from Princess Mononoke when I was 9. And I entered a Halloween competition, and I was very sad to be beat out by like a bot, like Princess Fairy costume. And that was when I realized that competitions for cosplay were for me. Because I was like, why did I win? I made my costume. But yeah, that was the first thing I made. Yes.
What would be your, I guess your biggest goal being a cosplayer?
My biggest goal, I want to win WCS. I want to go to Japan and be there for 10 days and do interviews and see the sights and then compete on the IG Prefecture stage. That's like my dream. I want to be on that stage so bad. And I get close, but I think we'll get it this year. Yes?
So you mentioned earlier, and it was like the part of another question, where like some people buy the costumes, some people thrift and alter it. I do a lot of thrift and altering, which takes me like, well not, but like it makes me like worried, like, oh, I can't put this in a cosplay contest because I just went on Reddit and bought this dress and then altered it. Like what is like your thoughts on something like that?
Just read the rules, because a lot of them, they say, you know, maybe 50% made by you or 70% made by you. It depends on the competition. But if you altered enough of it, then you did make that, and so you can enter in the costume contest if you meet the goal of like the 50%, saying you like altered the shirt, you altered the pants, and like you painted your shoes and stuff like that. Like that would be about 50%, and you can enter that. There would be no issue there. Just as long as you're honest with the judges that what you did in your costume. Has anyone signed up for the cosplay contest? Yeah? Oh, I'm excited. Oh, you too. I'm excited. That'll be, I think later today we're doing the judging. Yeah. You had a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna, would you recommend doing more cosplays than one at a time, or focusing on one at a time and accomplishing it, and then doing another one after that?
I would focus one at a time, to be honest. Like, sure, gather the parts for like several different costumes, and you can work on several costumes, but sometimes it can get really confusing. I like to hyper focus on one costume at a time myself, so I will do a whole costume and then move on to the next one. But I'll be gathering the supplies for the other ones as I'm making the first one. What time is it now?
12.
Huh?
12.
Got what?
12.
Oh, wait, you. Yep. There's still time. Okay. I'm just looking to make sure I didn't go over. More questions? Yes.
How do you feel international competitions differ from US or domestic?
International competitions, I feel like personally, in my experience, I feel like they're more like family, because there's only a certain kind of people that like do the international competitions, and so we all know each other. And so like we'll message each other and be like, hey, you know, I see that you're signed up to do this competition, like we should hang out and stuff like that. So it feels more like family, because like I said, they're all people that usually do that kind of stuff. Whereas for normal competitions, it's you would find like more new people entering, so you can make new friends that way as well. But people usually don't know each other as well, so there's still that anonymity to that. So people are still getting to know each other. Yeah.
Do you feel that social media has changed, like the outreach of the cosplay community?
Social media, I'm not big on social media, because I'm just old and I can't keep up with it very well, but I feel like it has changed. Like, a lot of people do rely on social media to get out there and get noticed and like to show what they have. There's just so much more resources now on social media and on YouTube and stuff like that. There's so many more resources now than there used to be when I first started cosplaying. I think like Argo wasn't even a thing when I first started cosplaying. We just had to buy like wigs off of, I think even just on Amazon and just go with it. Yes.
Who are some of the cosplayers that you admire the most and love the most?
Oh, that I admire the most? I definitely like Twin Cosplay was one, because they're really big on performance and they make their costumes very intricate looking. So they are really good. I love them. And there's Freya Mai, who's from, I believe, Indonesia. So she, and Twin was from Mexico. And so there's Freya Mai. She did a lot of good performances as well. I like a lot of performance-based cosplayers because that's what I like to do the most. But yeah, those were two like really big like influences on what I used when I did. Yes.
How do you decide which builds you want to do for competitions? Like what makes a certain like character competition?
Usually it's like a character just calls to me and I'll be like, I really want to make that, and then I will see if it is something that I can feasibly make, because sometimes it's something super crazy that's like pointy feet that like you shouldn't even try to do that ever type of thing. But usually it's just a character calls to me and then I'll just go for it and just make it. Yes.
On that, I know you talked about like something that's really crazy, like a little more into that. What do you classify as a character that's too crazy for you to be feasibly able to make a costume of that scale? Like,
I think I draw the line at mobility. If I can't move through the hallway without like falling over or hitting literally everything in my path, as long as I'm able to move, I think I will always make the costume. But yeah, sometimes I do get like super crazy, like wings that span like 15, 20 feet. And I'm just like, okay, at least make them be able to come in. Don't whack people with your costume. That's like 15 minutes, yeah. Okay. Any more questions? If not, we can probably just end it here. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for coming and giving me your questions. I love answering it. Thank you.